time for our final session. Can you believe it? Our last session, Mindfulness, Nourish Your Mind, Body, and Soul. I'd like to introduce Dr. David Victorson. Dr. Victorson is a licensed clinical psychologist in Illinois. He's also associate professor of medical social sciences in the Feinberg School of Medicine and the director of integrative oncology at the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center's Survivorship Institute. And he directs the Consciousness in Health Research Lab, which researches ways to reduce symptoms and suffering and promote overall human flourishing. I'm honored to welcome Dr. Victorson to the screen.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey, and everyone here. It's an honor to be here and to share some of the wisdom and help that mindfulness can bring. I am going to gather that I need to share my screen now so that you can see my slides. So bear with me one moment. And can I just get confirmation from someone that you can see my screen before I start going?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. My lovely introduction, I'm here at Northwestern University in the Feinberg School of Medicine. I'm also connected to the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center. And as a psychologist who works in cancer, a lot of the different things that I focus on have to do with helping help to improve ways in which we provide supportive care to people going through cancer treatment and then entering survivorship, as well as my particular interests have to do with what are those very basic, freely available behaviors and habits that we can help people learn and get integrated into their lives so that they can stay healthier, they can prevent symptoms or side effects from flaring, or they might just enjoy the day more. So today we're going to focus on one of those things that I study in my lab, which is mindfulness. Like it was mentioned, I do have a website for our lab. If you did want to check out consciousnessinhealth.org, you would see some of the different research projects that we have going on where we're looking at these things. Today, I wanted to provide a brief overview of what mindfulness is, an even briefer overview of how mindfulness has been beneficial for cancer survivors. And then I'd like to offer an opportunity for us to take part in some different mindfulness practices. And so let's just start with defining mindfulness. Many of you likely already know what mindfulness is and might even have practices of your own. A definition I like is that it is the act of paying full attention to whatever we are experiencing in our present moments with qualities of openness, acceptance, non-judgment, and curiosity. Excuse me, and we're going to unpack what that means. Before we do, I had previously in my other version that looks like it didn't save, I had a note to myself to begin with one of the first poll question. So whoever is sharing those, thank you. So the first poll question is, what specifically draws you to mindfulness meditation? Feeling relaxed, slowing things down, being present in your life. So if you could take a moment to answer the poll question, it might just help us get a better sense of, for some of you that are interested in this, what draws you to it? Great. And it looks like being present in life is the most rated, followed by slowing things down, then feeling relaxed. They're all right answers, and but I would say probably most tied to the purpose and definition of mindfulness, while feeling relaxed can be a wonderful, pleasant after effect sometimes. It doesn't always happen that way. And sometimes we can be mindfully aware of something and not be feeling very relaxed. So to have as an intention that mindfulness is to help us be where we are, I think it was great to see so many people here indicating that. So we know that human beings are pretty good at paying full attention when things are new and novel, when our brains haven't seen it before. So I have this picture here of this couple putting together an IKEA furniture. If you've ever done that, you know it can require full attention so you don't screw something up. We also know that we're really good at we're really good at not paying attention to just one thing. So many of us, I'm sure, are used to doing many things at once. So we typically will eat while we're doing something else, or we might be looking at our phone while we're also got the TV going on in front of us. And so we've become quite accustomed when things aren't new and novel to starting to engage in multitasking behaviors. We also know that we're really good at mental time travel. And by that, I mean that throughout the day, multiple times a day, maybe multiple times within a minute, our thoughts can be going towards the future or towards the past. And very rarely, unless again, it's a new focused task, does our awareness and attention land in the present moment. So these are all normal things that happen as a part of having a human brain with consciousness, moments of consciousness, and then moments of autopilot. And so there's no shame or judgment on this. This is just how we're wired. Well, what can happen is when we spend a good amount of our time in the future, in the past, not with our present, like this person here experiencing what looks like a little road rage, it can set us up and make us vulnerable to being reactive to stressful moments. And it can also set us up for being vulnerable to some self-sabotage or some unkindness towards ourselves. And usually this happens below the surface of our awareness and we don't even know it's happening. But it can build, and then all of a sudden we might find ourselves with an emotion of sadness or anxiety, and we're not exactly sure why, but it has come from a culmination of these things happening. So in our lab, in our research, we like to see mindfulness as a health behavior, no different from getting enough fruits and vegetables, getting enough steps or exercise, drinking enough water and staying hydrated, getting enough sleep. Because we feel that, you know, if you think about your vegetable intake, your exercise, your sleep, you're not doing that all the time. You're trying to do it on a consistent, regular basis to add to your well-being platter. And mindfulness practice is a similar thing. We're not expecting for people to turn mindfulness on and to stay that way all the time, but rather to try and integrate moments of mindfulness, just like you would trying to eat enough spinach. So just a little background on mindfulness as a practice. It does come from quite a long tradition, over 2,500 years ago from Buddhism, where Siddhartha, a prince to be, a king to be, from his kingdom was disgusted by the complete disparities between wealth and poverty in his village and left the kingdom on a pilgrimage of his own to try and find enlightenment. This is how the story goes. And he wound up under a Bodhi tree where he began to sit and practice meditation. And it was there that he discovered enlightenment. And mindfulness was a part of that. So at that point, Siddhartha became the Buddha. And I believe in Sanskrit, Buddha means the awakened one. And so mindfulness practice is actually a way that we can learn to wake up to our present moments from being somewhere else in the future or in the past or some other thought. So we know, though, that the benefits of mindfulness aren't just from waking up, but that it's how we wake up that can play a really big role. So one way you can wake up is by, screaming at yourself like this drill sergeant is. And it will wake you up, but it can be in an unkind and unpleasant way. Another way one can wake up is a softer, more caring and compassionate way. And this will also wake you up, and it might wake you up with better emotions and feelings in the moment. And so I share these two examples with you because it illustrates that how we become mindful and how we are awakened is an important piece. In the original Chinese character of mindfulness, it shows more than just the mind, that one piece of the character means present moment or now. And then the other part can either mean the mind or the heart. And therefore, some people refer to mindfulness practice as heartfulness or compassionate awareness. And sometimes I'll even call it kindfulness, because it brings in an element of being kind to ourselves when we practice. What I really like about it is it doesn't require any special equipment. It's freely available to us at any time. We don't have to be a religious practitioner to benefit from it. And it can be connected to anything we do, especially those things which are connected to our senses. So whether it's eating and drinking or our morning routines, things that usually are automated, if we begin to apply mindful awareness to them, it can slow them down and help us notice all of these other things that might be happening that are out of the realm of our awareness. We can bring it to communications with others, with our family members. And one of the things that we can realize is that mindfulness isn't a magic bullet, that the arrows of life will continue to come at us in different ways. And by arrows of life, I mean just those things that cause us suffering and discomfort. And one of the things that mindfulness can help us disentangle is that while that initial arrow of suffering or discomfort can cause us pain, mindfulness can help us not shoot that first arrow with a second arrow of suffering. And so mindfulness helps us take a step back. The Vietnamese monk Thich Nhat Hanh said, when you learn how to suffer, you suffer much less. And mindfulness teaches us how to suffer. If you can imagine having lower back pain, that's the first arrow. Now, the second arrow that we can, through mindfulness, prevent ourselves from are things like thoughts like, I won't be able to play with my children or grandchildren. I'm disabled now. This is horrible. My body is betraying me. Is this my cancer coming back? What's wrong with me? And so with mindful awareness, we can become aware that in addition to that initial back pain, it might also come with all these possible second arrows shooting at it. So we know that waking up in this way can help by slowing things down and creating some distance between ourselves and the events that we're in. It can help us learn to respond to stressful events instead of react to them. There's something in social psychology called the Hawthorne effect, where when we observe something or someone, they behave differently. And when we practice mindfulness, we're actually observing ourselves. And so we also can and will end up behaving differently. We know that when we pay attention to things that are pleasant with mindfulness, it can increase feelings of gratitude and savoring. Just imagine I'm holding a cup of coffee right now. It's a pleasant thing for me. And when I hold it and feel its warmth and take a sip, it helps me appreciate that more. Neutral events, things that don't have a strong positive or negative, mindfulness can help us become more curious and open about them. And those unpleasant events, things that are buttons for us, that annoy us, that frustrate us, that cause us pain and suffering, mindfulness over time can help us learn ways to relate to them differently. And we like to have as a possible goal, maybe this unpleasant event can actually become one of your best teachers. What can we learn from it? Of course, the annoying things in life are still going to keep happening. We're still going to have an initial bout of road rage, or we're still going to sucker punch ourselves from time to time. We're still even going to have those down moments. But with mindfulness, we get a choice between the event and our response to it. And sometimes it's that choice that can help us create a whole new relationship to it. So now I'd like to move on to talking about some of the benefits of mindfulness during cancer survivorship. And I know that in an earlier slide deck, I had placed my second poll question. So can we please share poll question number 2? Is there anything related to your cancer journey that you think mindfulness would be helpful for? The responses here would be appreciating the little things more, coping with stress and fear, or doing what I can to stay healthy and well. Take a second and see which one rings most true for you. All right, so the winner is on this one, coping with stress and fear, and absolutely reasonable and valid option there. Again, they're all right answers, but yes, very interesting. And then appreciation and health promotion. So I'm really quickly going to talk about a few ways in which cancer and the cancer experience and mindfulness can be connected and well suited for one another. We know that with cancer can also come fear and uncertainty about the future, including loss of routine, loss of identity, and loss of predictability. And that we also know that mindfulness practice can help strengthen a person's ability and even comfort in sitting with and tolerating uncertainty and recognizing that things are transitionary and impermanent. Another connection is that we know with cancer and its treatment, there can be significant physical impact, including pain, insomnia, fatigue, body image changes, and that mindfulness practice can actually help us become more in touch with and connected with and even forgiving of our bodies and our physical selves. We know with cancer, the cancer journey and experience, depression, anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, especially once active treatment has finished, can occur, and ups and downs can continue to happen. And that with mindfulness practice, it can lead to increased skills in learning things like letting things be, sometimes letting them go, and acknowledging and accepting certain things in life for what they are. And for some people, cancer can serve as a significant catalyst and wake-up call that creates a reevaluation of one's goals, purpose, values, and meaning. And similarly, mindfulness practice has been shown to also, in helping people wake up, can also create a wake-up call so that people are learning to appreciate and value and reevaluate things differently. So the two experiences can go hand in hand. We know from the research that it can do lots of good things. So if you look at the first piece of information, across studies, across meta-analyses and systematic reviews, mindfulness-based interventions in cancer have been shown to significantly decrease things like fatigue, pain, anxiety, depression, and even help regulate neuroendocrine functions, so inflammation in the body, and HPA axis reactivity, so things like cortisol, that stress hormone that gets secreted and can lead to, in some, adipose fatty tissue development in the abdominal area. Mindfulness has been shown to regulate those responses. We know that through the research that's been done so far, that things like anxiety and depression appear to be things where benefit will persist even up to half a year to a full year after the training. And we're still trying to figure out how long that lasts and how impactful that is. But we do know that the signs are pointing towards this being a beneficial adjuvant treatment to anyone's health promotion plan, just like exercising more, eating a better, healthier diet, getting enough Z's, drinking enough water. Again, to think about including mindfulness practice as a health behavior to your plan. And so now I'd love to practice. And I see it's 3:25, and I'm just saying this out loud so the hosts know that I'm aware of the time and that I know I have until 3:40. If you could please put on the board our third poll question before we get started. So if you've tried practicing mindfulness meditation before, what kinds of things have interfered with your ability to keep doing it on a regular basis? And the options were, I don't think I'm doing it right, I'm not very good at slowing down and I get too fidgety, or I'm too busy. See which one of those rings true for you. I'm not very good at slowing down and I get too fidgety. Again, if you remember the first two poll questions, they were all the right answers. These, in fact, are all the wrong answers. I'm just going to tell you right now that even though we hear these things time and again from people, I'll say right now, there is no right way. You can be mindful as you're fidgeting. And a question about being busy is, do you really not have 5 seconds in your day to tune in? So sometimes it's more about reimagining what mindfulness means and how it can be done to try and overcome some of these common obstacles and barriers that were just shared. But I say all that tongue in cheek because I've said those things in my own training and development in mindfulness, and we hear them every time we teach new people. Let's go ahead and actually practice. And the first practice that I would like to try out today, and hopefully we can get to some more. But this first one is a grounding, anchoring practice. So right now, wherever you are, assuming you're all sitting in front of your device in some way, hopefully in a chair or wherever you are, get into a comfortable position. You don't need to see me or see the screen, but if you can just continue to try and hear my voice. And if you're seated, see if it's possible to have your feet on the ground itself. See if it's possible to align your spine so that you're sitting in a somewhat upright position, alert and attentive, yet still relaxed and comfortable. And I always find it beneficial and helpful to slightly close my eyes. Just helps me tune in. So feel free to just lower your gaze. And as we sit here together through cyberspace and our screens, just let your awareness first and foremost shine a light on all the different activity that might be coming up. Maybe there are actual physical sensations in your body, possibly warmth or coolness, maybe a sensation in the muscles of slowing down. Maybe there are lots of thoughts happening in the mind, especially when we close the eyes. Without leaping on and attaching yourself to each thought that comes up, see if it's possible to just step back and notice that there are lots of thoughts. And letting yourself bring awareness to what it feels like in the body to be sitting on a chair or a couch, or maybe if you're on the floor or lying down, just what it feels like for the body to come in contact with another object. Noticing where the two come in contact with each other and what that feels like. Noticing the body as it is covered in clothes, socks, pants, shirts. Maybe tuning into the heaviness of the body itself. If you haven't already, maybe you're becoming aware of your breathing. Something that has not stopped since you were born. See if you can just locate and find where the breath is experienced in your body. Not needing to breathe in a certain way, just letting it flow in and out naturally, comfortably. And knowing that the breath can be felt and experienced in different places in the body. Sometimes in our abdomens or our chest, sometimes our throat, maybe the mouth or nose, maybe somewhere else. Just see if you can find and go along with your breathing or some other physical sensation that you're aware of. Temperature, gravity, density, weight, texture, contact with a chair. Maybe like me, in your environment, you can hear the underlying sound of an air conditioning system. Maybe there's some other sound in your environment. Just notice it for what it is and try not to ride away with it. Now, what happens every time we do this, no matter how long you've been meditating, is that when we try and tune into and focus in on something in our present moment, in our body, in our sensory experience, in our environment, in our thoughts, what happens is that at some point our thoughts go away. Our mind goes someplace else. It time travels, goes to the past, goes to the future. And that's totally fine. This is the part about how waking up is more important than just waking up. So in these moments of catching yourself not being with the present any longer, to very gently say to yourself, hey there, I see you've gone away. Come back. Let's come back to wherever you were. And you're back there now. And every single time the thoughts go somewhere else, just let yourself know it's totally fine. Doesn't mean you're bad at this. It means you're human. And you compassionately, kindly bring yourself back to the present. And the crazy part is you might do this 100 times in a minute. It can happen that many times. But this is the practice. This is the equivalent of lifting weights to get stronger muscles. Here we're doing these reps to strengthen our ability to tune into our present moments and then to reap the benefits, all the things that come with that. So right now, if we could all try and identify one part of our senses that we connect with. For some people, it might be connecting with our breathing. For someone else, it might be connecting with how our butts feel as they're sitting on a chair. For someone else, it might be just the weight and heaviness of our bodies, or the feeling of our feet pushing against the floor. Pick one sensory experience and just let yourself be with that for the next few moments. This is the grounding, anchoring point. Just like we would drop an anchor on a boat, that anchor isn't going to stop the waves or the wind from blowing, but the anchor can keep the boat in one spot. And so just like an anchor, as your mind goes somewhere else, go back to your sensory anchor that you've picked and see if you can go back to it and just be with it for a little bit longer until the mind goes again. And I'll be quiet now for just a few moments so we can actually practice this. Maybe the thoughts have drifted. Maybe they've gone back to some of the amazing content and speakers that you've heard today at the conference. Maybe they're going ahead to what you're going to do tonight, Friday, yay, whatever it is. Give it a nod, acknowledge that your attention has drifted, and see if you can gently, kindly return it back to the anchor of what you were paying attention to. Sometimes when we're first learning this anchor exercise, it can help to even describe in your mind, just saying something as simple as breathing in, the breath is my anchor. Breathing out, this is my breath. Or whatever it was. Just to help keep you there. All right, and now let's just again bring awareness to our whole bodies, from our toes and our feet, all the way up our legs, our midsections, our waist, our stomachs, our backs, our chest, our shoulders, our necks, our heads, our arms, our hands. And if we can, all together, holding our entire body in our awareness for just a moment, sending it gratitude for being there with us right now. Sending gratitude to our breath, again, for being with us our whole life, for continuing to be there for us. And gratitude that we're able to share this virtual experience together amidst these crazy times. That, technology can be annoying, frustrating, and no substitute for in-person human-to-human interaction, but how cool is it that we can do this together right now on this Friday afternoon. So gratitude for being here together in this shared space. And with that, just allow yourself to take a nice relaxing in-breath, and if you have lowered your gaze, returning your gaze back to the screen, and I see that we're at my time, 3:40. So I will go ahead and stop sharing and give it back over to the moderators.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm so relaxed. I just participated in that exercise. So, you know, I have my Zen on. So I have, in the interest of time, I have one question for you.
Sure.
What are some tried and true recommended meditation apps? Please share your favorites.
Very good question. So there are the usual suspects like Headspace, Stop, Breathe, Think, I believe is the other one. I like to use, those are great, and they come with a subscription. And one that is free that you might try is called Insight Timer. You can Google that and you will see it has loads and loads and loads of wonderful guided meditations that you can practice, and you can search by sleep, help with sleep, or help with stress, or other kinds of things, and then you can get specific meditations for just that. So those are three really good ones that are available right now that you could download onto your phone and try right away.
Okay,